I'm going to really get you excited today because they just pumped $135 billion into the economy. And does everybody know where Japan is? If you haven't seen, there is a picture of an island nation right there on your screen. Um, that's not Japan. That's New Zealand. Um, this is Japan. Actually, that's not true either. That's Great Britain. Um, nobody knows where Japan is. Nobody knows. Nobody cares. But when you jack up $135 billion in stimulus off the top rope, you're going to care. So we're going to talk a little bit about, well, it's starting. It's starting. We might not do it here, but we're going to do it through Japan. So we're going to be excited about that. And we're going to talk about ways to trade this. So let's go. All right. Why are you joining us? Well, yesterday was a total nightmare. Started the day, nice little pop, and then we rolled over early. And it's a reminder that Japan still remains the key problem in the global financial markets. Japanese stocks absolutely cratering yesterday, popping this morning. And I was optimistic for a little while. Now watch what happens. Now watch us have a squeeze day because we have seen the worst sentiment now since basically when Jim Cramer was crying and talking about the Great Depression back in, I don't know, April 6th, April 7th. He wasn't crying. I apologize. He was crying about Meta in 2022. Sorry, Jim. All right. Top screens, top stocks, where the top money is moving this morning, whether or not this is a trap day. I'm telling you, I'm looking for a squeeze. It's a Friday. It is third Friday, which means we have a lot of expiration today. Good morning, Ed Mines. Thanks for joining us this morning. And Gaston SH. Japan pumping liquidity, $135 billion. We will get to that in a moment, but here's where we start the day. Momentum is red. Okay, so here's the thing. If we look at futures right now, you're going to see that everything is up. And I'm just going to tell you a lot of that has to do with Japan. They are cranking right now, massive levels of stimulus at the same time that they're going to be raising interest rates. This is very similar to what happened in the United Kingdom back in 2022. VIX is cooling down resultantly. Remember, pumping money into economy equals higher stocks. Watch everybody become a crypto trader from, um, how do I not remember any of the cities in Japan? I know Tokyo. What was I looking for? I was trying to make a joke and I just bombed. Osaka, forgive me. Osaka. I was looking for Osaka. I was looking for Kyoto and Kobe. Kobe, obviously. All right. So we are red and we're at the worst ratings that we have really seen since April. It's one of those things where you just say to yourself, well, you got to go up eventually, right? That's kind of where I want your focus to be. Today is a third Friday. It is a very busy day in the world of options trading. A lot of settlement will be done today. And hey, Black Friday, that's a good reminder of something. There is something going on at TheoTrade right now for Black Friday. We'll talk about that in a moment. But this is a good day after the reaction that we saw. We're going to get the anchored VWAP off this screen for a moment, and we're just going to talk about volume weighted average price. Huge spread to yesterday. 50 points almost between the third and the third standard deviations. Will be a little bit narrower today, but what you're looking for is simply to trade everything that expires today. Now we're going to play a new game today. We're going to start this game today at 9:15, and the winner is going to get, well, I haven't decided. I haven't looked and seen what baseball cards we have on this desk, but the winner will definitely 100% get one of these cards, maybe a 1955 Bowman of, I don't know who any of these people are. There's a guy named Bolweg. You can win the Bolweg card. That guy. Who's that? We'll find out. Anyway, what you're looking for today. Movements into second, third, fourth standard deviation and rebounds. Everything is in play today. Why? Because options expiration, the highly liquid stocks, the highly liquid equities, You're looking for bounces, for reversions. Names like Apple will pull the anchored volume weighted average price, but I'm looking for moves today. I'm willing to bet and wager and buy at the money and look to try to get a move from one standard deviation line to the next, because a $2 to $3 move today on a company like Apple, like Amazon, like name a name, Arista Networks, that can lead to a very sizable payday today. If you are trading, of course, if you are a day trader, keep the SVXY, sorry, still haven't had my coffee, as the wow, SVXY moves higher, volatility is abating. That can lead to nice, solid, positive moves for those most liquid stocks that we have been discussing for the better part of 2 weeks. But momentum is still negative. It is a stimulus event. Ooh, we'll talk about what they can do with Japan momentarily. This is the problem. And as I've said, it's very difficult to be short over the weekend because, for all we know, Japan and the United States and the UK and the ECB will all get together and coordinate, and they will do what happened last September. Now, this is exactly the type of head fake that I always warn about. Last August, we had the crash of the Nikkei. Nobody talks about it anymore. We don't talk about it anymore because doing so would remind us that this is the nation that has effectively been providing cheap capital for 30 years for a leveraged trade known as the carry trade. This collapsed, this unwound. This is what I want to point out. See this move right here in September? There was a negative move in momentum for about 5 days. That was China. China faced a debt deflation trap, and then all of a sudden the market bounced back. Why? Well, in the ecosystem of the central bank nerds that we are, our expectation and our rumor mill was that the Bank of Japan, the Chinese bank, People's Bank of China, United States, and ECB all got together over a weekend and they coordinated, and that led to equities moving higher. That's kind of where I sit right now. My expectation is if it doesn't get done this weekend, they're going to do it over Thanksgiving weekend while nobody's paying attention. SPY up a little bit today. Good day to just be a little contrarian long. I was hoping that would have happened yesterday, but stimulus, remember, money moves markets, capital moves markets. If you pump and you signal that money is going to start flowing in, what do you think happens? Once again, insider buying picking up to the largest level that we have seen since April. I'm not calling a bottom. I'm just saying if you are short right now, you might want to take some gains. We'll talk about our runner in a moment. For some apparent reason, all of my slides are backwards. But hey, Black Friday, everybody. For a limited time, we got $52,000 Garrett Theo credits available for purchase at $1,000 each. Turn $1 into $2. Can't promise you're going to get that tie or that hat, but that's okay. Apply your $2,000 credit to any of my masterminds and trade alert services. We have a new mastermind that'll be coming up soon. First comes, first serve, 2 credits a person, 623 244 5657. And do not spell my name wrong. I take it personally. 2 R's, 2 T's, code word Garrett. All right. Japan dropped $21.3 trillion yen in stimulus. That's a lot of money. That's a lot. 120x billion in stimulus. Japan approved its biggest spending package since COVID. It is a mix of cash payments and energy subsidies and tax cuts. Doesn't matter how they do it. It's money flowing in. And that's bullish. It weakens the yen, obviously, because stimulus is debt financed. But hey, they're just rolling with it, bud. They're going to likely have to raise interest rates. They're doing kind of what the UK had to do in 2022. Stimulus. Watch the 10-year Japanese bonds. Look at Toyota. Look at Sony. This is that environment now where companies that surprisingly are mathematically cheap, right? Honda trades at half 50 cents on the dollar book value. This is that environment to speculate to the upside. You don't have to go kind of too crazy with it. You can follow the moves today, but HMC, Toyota, literally everything in their banking sector. Look up every single Japanese bank you can. Warren Buffett's going to have a great day. And you're playing the contrarian long, and you bet small and you look for the upside as it comes. And this is kind of frustrating because it is a reminder that when you short, because I shorted the semis yesterday and my position's down 6 cents on the morning, and I'll probably take gains to start the day. But the point is this: when you short, you are up against central banks, and they have a lot more money than you do because they make it up. They print it out of thin air. So in this environment, if you are heading into the weekend, you're short, take your gains. Take your gains. Don't sit around and wait. Japan is threatening more intervention on the FX side. The Ministry of Finance warning that it may have to step in to support the yen. Sure, why not? Currently trading 156, 157 per USD. Sudden intervention can cause pretty violent moves in the FX markets. I want to remind everybody, people have asked me this question over the last 24 hours. Will Japan dump their U.S. treasuries to defend their currency? No, they won't. They will engage in currency swaps with the U.S. government or with the U.S. Federal Reserve. They do not need to sell U.S. treasuries. Instead, what they do is they end up using the treasuries as collateral to get cash from the Fed. The Fed accepts their currency as collateral as well. And then at a later time, they will exchange that money back at a fixed rate. This is known as foreign liquidity swaps. Stronger yen would hurt Japanese exporters, whatever. But the key thing here is that Japan has largely been weaponized for the last part of 5 years as the U.S. is engaging in a tactical, dry financial war with China. A weaker yen would fuel inflation. We know that. Exporters, Honda, Nintendo, Toyota, pick one. That is going to be under some pressure. Watch the Japanese airlines. Watch the Japanese food stocks. I know that you're not an expert in Japan. I know that a lot of people still think that the picture that I showed you was Japan. That's New Zealand. I'm just telling you. And you go, wait a minute, that's not it. It's got to be this. That's not it either. I promise you. Don't worry about that. Just again, focus on the ADRs here in the United States for Japanese stocks and recognize that this money will spill over into the global financial system. The AI bubble babble will continue until morale improves. Markets sold off despite the NVIDIA earnings. We talked a lot about the current situation with NVIDIA with their rising inventory levels. Weakness spread to AMD and Tesla and the semis. I'm just going to tell you, all you have to do today is just pull these names up, anchor to the lows of yesterday for any of these equities, company like Tesla. And then what you're going to effectively do, here's your lows of the day right here. Forgive me, that's wrong. Your lows of the day was actually at the close. So you anchor volume weighted average price, Jamie's pips. We're going to go with that guy's VWAP. Well, we're going to anchor to 1,600. Oh man, that's a long time ago. 2017. Gosh, I was a sprite young man at that point. 21. There we go. Now we're cooking with gas. I feel like I messed that up. I did. How'd I screw that up? I probably put today's date. I did. That's pathetic. All right. There you go. Here's your key lines today. So you're going to start the day. You're going to probably see this market and multiple stocks. If we do any selling today to start the day, it won't test this volume weighted average price. It'll test this one. This is institutional action since the close yesterday, those lows of the day. You can also anchor to the low of this morning at 723. But the key point here is you're looking for equities to remain above volume weighted average price, and you're going to play the long game today. Play the long game. If we break under this line, that is where you can short. And there is a lot of depth to the downside on the SPY, on Tesla, on NVIDIA. Take what the market gives you. You can see pretty much everything's moving in the same direction this morning. Same pattern, same everything. This is all heavy liquid stocks still trying to find their footing after yesterday's moves. SOXX, QQQ, NVIDIA, AMD, Tesla. Watch the S&P 500 breadth, meaning, hey, this is a little problematic. 72% of stocks are under the 50-day moving average, which means that the market is largely being propelled by just a handful of stocks. Of the new lows this morning, 198 against 17 new highs to new lows, 198, 92% in that little new highs, new lows. It just signals that weakness creates more weakness. We're starting the day in bearish sentiment. That means the market will probably squeeze to start the day because there's no such thing as coincidence. We're going to get to the runner in a minute, Charlie, please. VIX, Bitcoin, commodities flash, risk off yesterday. BTC's getting smoked. And even in the face of Japan announcing this sizable stimulus, the largest stimulus that they have engaged in since COVID, Bitcoin's now down to 84,000. Now, remember, Bitcoin is not really about the intrinsic value. It's about global liquidity. It's about capital in the global financial system and how much of it there is and how that is utilized for leveraging. Now, a lot of people are clearly paying attention to what's going on with strategy. This is just going to be a absolute clown show at some point. Somebody should check on him, maybe see if he's buying some property in Dubai. Just going to say 84,315. This is a sign that this is not over. So even though Japan is doing what they're doing, the structural issues within Bitcoin, that is a 10% move up and down, highs and the lows of the last 24 hours, 88,000 down to 80,000. This is not over. There's still unwinding happening. There's still margin calls that potentially could be called. There's still people raising cash because they have a lot of other positions that are moving sideways. And as we noted with the carry trade, a lot of that selling yesterday might have just been people taking profits where they could because they're underwater on the other sides of their positions. S&P 500 now at 6,600. Well, there it goes. What are we looking at? The VIX, BTC, the SVXY. I don't know how to make it any easier for you. The SVXY is the positive inverse on the volatility. And when this is moving higher, that means volatility is temporarily cooling. This has been getting beaten up in the last couple of days because vol has expanded. But as we move through this morning, as you know, the VIX is down a little bit, 22. This game ain't over yet, though. It's not over. Don's right. All right, defensive plays, healthcare and staples should be in focus. XLP, if the XLP is moving higher, well, that's kind of bearish for the higher beta stocks. Watch commodities. Silver is doing you a favor right now. I do really like the opportunity to sell spreads on things like Fortuna and some of the other players in that space. Okay, just a reminder, you know, we're going to talk about this in 10 minutes. I'm just going to go right to the runner. What's in play? Charlie, what do you got? Rosario putting it a little subtly in what's going on with SoftBank. Yeah, SoftBank's in trouble. SoftBank, it's a bad balance sheet. I'm just going to say that. What's on the runner? All right, well, once again, what's strong this morning? This is one of those things where you look at the recent day, and I'm just going to tell you at the moment, the FNGD, which is our inverse ETN on FANG stocks. When this breaks out, well, what do you know, right? What do you know? This is weakness across the board. Today, this is ticking a little bit lower. It's a reminder that we're probably not out of the woods yet. But for right now, everything that is not bearish gets back on the board. This day screams we're going to squeeze for at least the first 30 to 40 minutes, and then we're going to figure it out from there. Everything linked to the FANGs, the Facebooks of the world, the Metas, Amazon, Apple, all through it. You got to keep an eye on volume weighted average price, and you have to watch volatility today. UVXY, which is also on this list, you can legitimately trade this. I just want to remind you, with the UVXY and the SVXY, it's just like anything else. It's down this morning, the UVXY, because volatility is muted for a moment. But there is a logical way to actually trade this. And the same thing with the SVXY. So the UVXY is down this morning, down to 62.75. There is an option chain around this. Seriously, there's actually people betting on vol expiring today and expiring into December. And all of this stuff will have volume built around it. On top of that, virtually all you have to really do is just trade it with volume weighted average price. If the UVXY starts to break out, you buy it and you hold it above VWAP. And if a other way happens, well, guess what? SVXY does the same thing. It does the same thing. If volatility is cooling, same story. And you saw yesterday, pretty big move, right? $4 on the SVXY to the downside. If you see this breaking above volume weighted average price, you can use weight. Buy the shares, trade it like any other instrument, but stay in the lines, color between the lines. Do not hold this stuff overnight. It is a day trader's friend. SOXS, I am short this. I had a nice little trade on it. Now I got to get out of it this morning because, well, Japan has showed up with a bag full of cash. That's why I don't like to short. Just saying. What's weak right now? MU, but same thing. Don't be shocked to see this stuff move. I feel like I have it backwards today, right? The stuff that's strong will probably weaken, and the stuff that's weak will probably strengthen. MU is actually a pretty good little squeeze candidate today. I moved back to like 210, definitely within the cards after the sell-off that we've seen. And once again, liquidity added to the system. At some point, I don't know when. I'm telling you, it's offensive to me. This is not right. That's not what's going on. How do we not know what is going on here? Stock futures rebound after Fed's Williams revives December rate cut hopes. I'm going to point something out real quick, and this is important. I'm going to search for Japan. It is not in this article. There is only one reason, and one reason only, to cut interest rates in December. Japan. If you cut interest rates in Japan, it holds the carry trade up for just a little while longer. So, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to say the labor market is a little weaker. They're going to say inflation is under better control. They're going to justify it. It is all mechanics. This is straight up BS. You cannot find Japan mentioned on this page unless you really search for it. There it is. There's one. There's two. Japanese concerts in China are getting abruptly canceled as tensions simmer. I don't have enough breadcrumbs to get home, everybody. NVIDIA, Walmart, Rig. Look, everything's back in play. Big move down on energy this morning to start the day. What am I looking for on the energy side? Well, remember, that stimulus that we are hearing all about with China and Japan, and forgive me, Japan. That's going to go into their banking sector. That's not going to hit their consumers immediately. But I'm looking for the XLE and I'm looking for the energy names to get into oversold. And we are getting there. Ugh, give me one more day. I need the XLE down around 88.50 so that I can turn around and go long for a couple of hot minutes. Watch the energy stocks. There is weakness here, and stimulus is a good thing. Stimulus for China or for Japan will likely force China to do something similar. And what will that do? Well, that's bullish for manufacturing and commodities. 2304 on the OILU. We hit oversold. I'm telling you right now, get your money out of your pocket. If we hit an RSI of 30, get your money out of your pocket and go long. Watch the 30-minute chart. That's going to be the key line in the sand for the OILU. And we're going to go from there. NVIDIA, Walmart, Rig. All right. Japanese Santa Claus. Okay. Altman is a dizzy punk. Okay. I'm thinking it could be a tech war, but it also may be a war between narcissists. I don't see why not. All right. 7 minutes. 7 minutes. Here's the challenge. New challenge. Okay. You guys come here every day, and I appreciate your time, and you want my analysis, and you want us to provide entertainment, which I hopefully provide, and I like doing that. But I'm going to ask you for your analysis. I'm going to ask you on this third Friday that on December 19th, this is the challenge, and I have a pencil somewhere. I used to have a pencil somewhere. Doesn't matter. I have the power of the interwebs. We're gonna go a little wild with this one. And I'm gonna pull this up in a second. And I'm gonna ask you, hey Batman, what's going on? I'm gonna ask you guys. All right. Let's do it this way. Batman, we're gonna start with you. Then we're gonna go Tall Tex. Then we're going to go with BS Smokey. We're going to get our community involved in this one. I want to know, November 21st, S&P 500 stock, not small cap, not something I've never heard of. What stock from today through December 19th will be the top performer on the S&P 500? I'm going to give Batman the first shot here. And we're going to track this because I want to see what stocks you're looking at. I want to pull some of these up in the charts. I'm genuinely interested what you think will be the top equity in the next month. And we're going to do it the right way. What can we say is a adequate prize? Got one. We're going to go with the Volpe. Seriously, this is what we're going to do. We're going with, don't pay too much attention to what's in the background. Okay. That is the Volpe Autograph 8. That's what we're doing. Okay. Top performer wins that card. All right. We're going to go slow here. BS Smokey's taking Tesla. Gijan's going with LLY. Again, everybody, slow down. Gijan, you didn't get to go first. I told you, Batman got to go first. Look at Don. Don coming in with this SQQQ. All right. Get your ticker in. Slick Cobra, you still owe me wine. And we're going to track this. Okay? We're going to track this. Rosario going Palantir. See, this is the thing. We're gonna write all of this down. Don't worry about that, Don. Devon Energy. All right. Don's going SQQQ, so I'll just mail him the card now. He is completely going full bore. This market is moving lower. I just want to point this out. If we look at this, I want you to think about like where capital might be rotating. It's very important to think this way. So you're going NVDL, right? So we have people going with leveraged ETFs. So you're still underlying with NVIDIA. Right now, what matters is if I'm going to make a contrarian bet, and what's interesting about this little experiment is the fact that you are speaking with a lot of conviction. You're throwing something out. You haven't done a lot of analysis necessarily, but I'll tell you right now, the most likely stock is going to fit three criterion. It's going to have to be a stock that can be levered up. It's going to have to be a stock that is very capital efficient, and it's going to have to be a stock that has lots of passive flows. So the reality is it's probably going to end up being, as Jack Pincus is saying, a company like Hood that could rebound very quickly. SP saying VIX, NVDL, Devon, Amazon, Palantir, all of those names fit the highest probability of that type of rebound. The stocks that will most likely have the biggest return may be a short squeeze stock. It could be that Hertz of the world. It can be, the hymns of the world. But you guys are speaking about all of this with no analysis. You're simply going, I think it's going to be this because we're giving something away. You're just throwing something out there. I want you to really think about this. Like we're going to track what some of you said. If you took some time today and you really analyzed and assessed a company based on what you think is possibility and probability, how would you do it? Would you be looking, for example, in the S&P 500 and then looking at the technicals and looking for stocks that are deeply oversold, for example? Would you be looking at stocks that have a RSI that is under 30 and there's 60 of them, right? And then looking at the type of historically like very high implied volatility. Because if there is a high implied volatility, that would suggest that there's going to be significant movement in the next 30 days. These are the ways to think about this. Remember, NVIDIA just reported earnings. So the only way NVIDIA really runs, it's not going to be a fundamental story. It would be more of a comprehensive momentum style. But if you look at what's stuff down in the 20s right now on RSI, Fiserv, Home Depot, Jacobs, Motorola, Garmin, like if money comes off the sideline, Garmin could go back to 250. Fiserv getting crushed. The stock was down at 59 now. Huge moves down. But if there is stimulus, if there is action, these are the types of things that can snap back very quickly. And this is why it's important to really focus on the technicals. So you guys gave us a ton of ideas and a ton of names. And Pete came in and said RGTI, and that is RGTI. There's a long ETF for this. What in the hell? Oh, no. RGTI. If you get that stimulus, if you get the Fed coming off the top rope, if you get a return to momentum, this is the type of thing that can move. What about MSTR? Well, I would be more concerned about this man moving to Dubai than anything, but it's a good idea. It's a good point, right? Because Bitcoin is a proxy of broader liquidity. But here's the thing. The stuff that you guys are talking about right now, would you be willing to put $50,000 of your own money down on it? And that's the difference, right? So how do you come up with the right type of names that can build conviction? We're going to talk about that today at 3:00. This is not a knee-jerk reaction, but I appreciate it. We're going to put all of this into a document so that I will have something. I will send it out. We'll get from there. Don's coming in right now to not play Van Halen right now. The key thing that I want to keep in mind, like strategy certainly is the type of thing that can go back to 340. Apple is the type of thing that can go to 300. It largely comes down to the coordination and the actions of the central banks. We're going to dig deeper into that today. I appreciate everybody taking part in our scientific experiment. We are going to go from there. I hope everybody has a good trading day. I'll be back in a little while. Again, UAMY is not on the S&P 500. We will talk more about this later today. All right. Have a great day, everybody.